100 million people have fatty liver disease. Is that correct?
100%. Anybody, you search any search engine, and it's 100 million in the United States plus that are already currently admitted to having some form of fatty liver, because it's a spectrum. Fatty liver all the way to cirrhosis, scarring of the liver, liver cancer, you name it.
We're here today talking with a friend of mine, Jonathan Landsman from naturalhealth365.com, and he's put together several dozen powerful interviews on the fatty liver disease problem, both the awareness of the problem and specifically, John, most of it is about what you can do, right? So we just heard a little bit of an intro, even just about one of those speakers that are all going to be available for free. This is something that at first glance, Jonathan, one might think, well, what does it have to do with EMF and wireless and the environmental toxins? But as we get into this, you've done some research on this. You mentioned to me that 20 or 30% of your speakers actually address the EMF issue and how it's linked to fatty liver disease and all these liver problems. Thank you so much for what you're doing. And tell us a little bit more about your Stop Fatty Liver docuseries and about how people can take advantage of it.
Yeah, Josh, first of all, so many things were going through in my mind as you were talking that, first of all, I just want to recognize that what you're doing is extremely important because you're always raising awareness about the threat. And I want to underline and put in bold the toxic threat of microwave radiation, this wireless radiation that, look, I'm the first one to admit there's a lot of conveniences around all of these wireless devices that people are enjoying. But the towers that we're seeing going up, the cell towers, the 5G that's going to be deployed, that is being deployed already, people get it, Josh, thanks to you, that this is a real toxic threat. And actually, I'd like to make one little correction. When you say 20 to 30%, it's actually more than that, where we weave into this whole conversation, Josh, of this entire event, the Fatty Liver DocuClass, where all the speakers are basically doing two very important things as we discuss and we hope to raise awareness like you are and an appreciation for why it's so important to take better care of our liver. Because conventionally speaking, Josh, nobody is talking about this. And again, it's not a put down. It would be like getting upset at your auto mechanic, I often say, right? Why isn't the auto mechanic helping me with my cancer or my heart disease? It sounds ridiculous. Don't expect it is my point, right? Conventionally speaking, if you go into the doctor's office and you want to find out about liver health, it's not there. On the internet, Josh, if you go, what is this connection between EMF pollution, which I know is not good to be overly exposed to. I get it. This 5G's got me very concerned and being bombarded with all this nasty vibrations that are going to go through my body and cause all this chronic inflammation. But what is this connection, Josh, Jonathan, between the EMF pollution and my liver health? Josh, I think it's easy for most people listening to this. They get it. It's affecting every cell of our body. And on the internet, there's literally only one top search, a study done out of China that's in PubMed in 2013, which I find not amusing. I don't mean to laugh, but I find it ironic that it's out of China, where they literally have, when you search it, EMF pollution and liver health, that they studied the effect of low frequency vibration, electromagnetic frequencies, and its effect on liver health in the workers in China. And that was the study in 2013. And now we fast forward to today. I know it's beyond the scope of today's conversation, but to talk about Wuhan and the coronavirus and what's going on, and is it out of a bioweapons lab? Maybe. Is it just a plain old virus? Maybe. But wait a minute, there's this 5G that they deployed too in the city, and maybe that's what's accelerating the spread of this virus. Any way you look at it, Josh, my take is not to be, a conspiracy theorist or to blame any one group. It's really to hopefully motivate and encourage people to take much better care of themselves. If people get sick, Josh, conventionally speaking, They're going to hospitals, even here in the United States, where I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, healthcare providers now, forget about the patients that visit every now and then, all of them are being exposed to wireless technology like never before. This is not a healing environment for people, and people are coming in more and more with all kinds of what they call strange health issues, from cancer conditions, they don't know where it's coming from, digestive cancers, they don't know where it's coming from, fatty liver disease, Josh, over 100 million in the United States alone. I feel that number is extremely conservative, but that's the number I use for our website for the Fatty Liver DocuClass, because that's what's conventionally published. That is all very, very low stuff because nobody's looking at this. I can't tell you, Josh, how many times I hear people who go to a doctor's office and they say, wow, Jonathan, I can't believe you're doing this event. I was told I had a fatty liver, and then that was it. Nothing else. Oh, it's not a big deal. We'll just check it again in 6 months or a year when you come back. This is what people are being taught about fatty liver. So it's no wonder that you have hundreds of millions of people. That's what I say. It's not just 100. Hundreds of millions of people easily walking around with dysfunctional livers, being exposed too much to wireless technology. And thanks to you, Josh, and many others, you're raising that awareness to wire your home, get away from wireless routers, minimize your exposure, but cut down on all the toxicity that's in your life. This is what we're looking to do with the Fatty Liver DocuClass. We're making people appreciate what's happening with the liver, how it functions, what happens to you downstream, which is a concept we teach in the Fatty Liver DocuClass. The downstream effect of a dysfunctional liver are poor digestive function that lots of people have, autoimmune conditions, the leaky gut, the infections that people are getting. Why is this running rampant? Heart issues, breathing problems, brain dysfunction as well, kidney problems, blood sugar and blood pressure imbalances, all of this going downstream as an effect from a dysfunctional liver. And because conventional medicine, Western medicine, is not really up on this, they're not being taught to sound the alarm early. Look, let's face it, their medical offices are not set up that way. You have to be screaming in pain on the right side of your body, just below your last rib, on the right side of your body and up and underneath, with horrible pain or yellowing of your eyes, this jaundice. Then, oh, wow, we have to look at the liver function. But way before that, Josh, it's a long answer I've given you about how I appreciate what you're doing. You're alerting people to all the toxins out there, wireless technology, and all the other things from food and water and all the chemicals and heavy metals out there, and how all of that does create a dysfunctional liver. And this is a place where we can start to understand and make the liver function better, to minimize all of these terrible symptoms that people are feeling today.
Well, we have to be dot connectors. We have to be doing our own research. We have to be getting the facts from the unbiased experts as directly and as clearly as possible. And we're obviously not getting that from the media. We're not getting that from our government. We're not getting that from our doctors, our medical doctors, who in many cases have become, drug pushers, let's face it, for big pharma. Not all of them. I don't want to paint everyone with that brush, but I mean, the further we get away from truth, from these, let's say mainstream sources that we've just been conditioned to trust, the further we get away from health, the further we get away from being empowered in our health and our body and our mind, body, and soul within, so that we can engage in the world in a healthy way. And that's something that really, it angers me and it makes me motivated, right? To help us connect the dots so that we can take back our power and be healthy within, as we're engaging in the being the change that we want to be. So I see tremendous value in what you're doing and what you're offering here, Jonathan. And it's just a pleasure, privilege to be able to share this with our community. So you have Stephanie Seneff, MIT expert, and she's talking about GMOs. She's talking about vaccines, and she's blowing the whistle on all of these agendas. She's on day 7 of your docu-class. You have Eric Zielinski, someone else who's very high on my list. You have Jack Wolfson, Edward Group, Thomas Levy, David Jockers, Jay Davidson, Tom O'Brien, and about a dozen and a half or 2 dozen other experts on your docu-series. You have 3 or 4 experts every day. So this is something that I'm sharing this because of the value that I know that I've experienced in this kind of information from these luminaries who are bringing this forward. I want to share this with you, Jonathan. You and I were talking before this interview about just exchanging some notes and data and information. I've done a couple of liver cleanses in my life. I don't know what your thought is on those, but with the oil and the citrus, and the salt, right? The Epsom salt, and you do the thing for the day and a half, and you're passing a lot. But by the end of it, like literally several hours after I completed this cleanse, I felt so clear mentally, and I went actually and played a soccer game, and that was the best soccer game I ever played. And it's almost like my body was talking to me to say, yes, the liver is way more significant. You need to cleanse your liver. The liver is the master organ for detoxifying your entire body. And so our community is obviously well aware that one of the leading environmental toxins is EMF and wireless, as you say. So talk to us a little bit more about this, about some of the experts and some of the key information that you're bringing forward in your docu-class.
Right. Great question, Josh. Thank you again. The idea is throughout the entire event, we're talking to people, yes, love people to get more excited about detoxification, but just to hone in on what you just brought up, please be careful. I urge people to tune in because we're talking about a pathway here. And as you take the time to at least listen to one a day, if not more, you can listen to as many as you want each and every day. It's going to be out there at no cost. The idea is we're talking about everybody's situation is different, Josh. So again, kudos to you. It's great the way you felt from doing that. That's kind of a rougher liver cleanse to do, but please keep in mind those people out there with a lot of wireless technology around them, a lot of physical and emotional stress, a lot of toxicity issues, whether it's heavy metals in the mouth, we talk about that, heavy metals throughout the rest of the body, maybe there's toxicity in the water that somebody's drinking and the food that they're eating, and a lot of these things may not be necessarily at their best, Josh, and on top of that, you and I are not in this bucket, but what I'm about to say in terms of people that have extra accumulated body fat, and I specifically say the fat tissue that stores up this toxicity, we need to be very careful about, how should I say, very simply, mobilizing and then pushing out these toxins. Because for every person, they must be careful. I'm the first one to raise my hand about thinking in a Western mindset, more must be better years ago when I had dental amalgams in my mouth and, oh, wow, I'm going to do this detox and then I'm going to get these mercury pulled out. But boy, I'm going to get started now and pull this mercury out of my body and take more cilantro and take more of these different chelating agents. And at first I didn't feel too much. And well, then I should just keep taking more and more each and every day. And I can tell you, Josh, I give a little laugh, but it's not funny. I was in my 40s doing this. And when I did this and it was too much one day, I literally was wiped out in energy, laying in the bed. And after a little while, got up. And I swear to you, I kid you not, I thought I had MS. There was a massive, like your foot falls asleep. It was from the hips down. Both my legs were ringing in that kind of falling asleep and coming back to life with the blood circulating. And it was a terrible ringing. I couldn't feel anything lower down in my legs. The first thing I thought about was, holy cow, I've got to drink a lot more water and make myself pee like crazy. My whole point of telling the story is if I was in my 50s or 60s at that point, if I had a little blood sugar imbalances or I had heart arrhythmias or God knows what else, coupled with making a mistake and trying to do a good detoxification program, Josh, it could be very serious problems. Long story short, hours later, I was peeing like crazy and the symptoms faded away. But I was fortunate, Josh. I've talked to a lot of top-level detox experts. They're in the Fatty Liver DocuClass, and we talk about this. Please understand your situation. That is all I'm saying. Liver detoxing is great. So is colon cleansing. So is sweating a little bit more. So is being more well hydrated. And why these things are important. Josh, at the risk of sounding, extremely biased, I guarantee everybody, if they just look at the testimonials, because we kind of released this as a teaser to a small group of people. I say small, it was tens of thousands of people last year, at the end of last year. But the response we got back was, holy cow, this is the best presentation of information. I so appreciate what the experts did, just like what you said, connecting the dots. Why should I care about the liver? What really threatens the liver? Why is it not just in the liver and how it affects the rest of the body? And the bathtub analogy was brought up over and over again, and it's very related to wireless, right, Josh? You get a 20-year-old kid who's got a cell phone he uses a few times a week, and he hears about wireless dangers, and he laughs at us. But then you get a 20-year-old who goes to a college and sleeps in a dorm, and he's got the tower right outside the dorm beaming into where he sleeps and spends hours and hours and hours. Now the bathtub is full and it's spilling over with what his toxicity is, which is an overexposure to wireless microwave radiation bombarding his head, and these horrific brain cancers and all kinds of cancers that are coming up in these cluster groups that are overexposed with a toxin. It's the same thing with anything else. People might be too dehydrated. That's their problem. People might be eating the wrong kind of foods. Or the wrong sweeteners. That's their problem. They're not mindful enough of their water. Forget about toxic water. Maybe they're not drinking enough water. Maybe they're on medications, Josh, and that's their toxic load. Or maybe worse yet, God forbid, but let's get real, Josh, a lot of people have all of these cofactors going on, and then it's one more thing that happens. The 5G gets deployed in their town. Right next to them is a tower. They move to a city, and now they're really exposed to microwave radiation. Or they get an emotional trauma of someone dying in their family, and all these other things were kind of there a little bit before, and they felt okay, like I'm all right. But then one more thing happens, and it pushes them over the edge. And Josh, this is what I hear all the time. You can hear it in my voice. It's why I'm so passionate. I don't get it, Josh, Jonathan. These things didn't bother me before. Why is this a problem now? Because for that particular person, it's just that one more thing happening to them in their life that has now pushed them over the edge, and now symptoms get manifested where it's more shakiness in their nervous system. Maybe it's their blood sugar, or it's a problem directly in their blood, or the actual liver organ gets dysfunctional enough that conventional medicine can then say, oh, wow, you have a problem there, or in your heart, or we found a cancerous tumor that's in your head because you were using the cell phone and the mercury that was leaking out, or you put the laptop on your belly for all those years. I don't know, you didn't have any problems before, but now you're complaining of abdominal pain, and we go into the hospital and they examine your insides with a CT scan. Wow, now we see a tumor. Where did this come from? I didn't have any pain before. So again, it keeps going back to this bathtub analogy, Josh. And it's why, again, I so appreciate you alerting people to the dangers of microwave radiation, but to please take better care of the rest of your body so you can stay as strong as possible to fight this one issue that you're championing by getting healthier from a liver organ and the whole rest of your physical body level, so that we can fight back and create more of the world that we do want to see, right, Josh? That's what this is all about, to stay as healthy as we can.
Definitely, yeah. I think I'm in resonance with you there, Jonathan, and I think virtually all of our audience is getting it. Whether we're a diehard activist and want to be in the world, or whether we just want to be happy and healthy and have energy at home, so it's not so up and down. So it's not so like you say, on the tipping point of one more stressor, one more toxin, kind of triggering a downfall in our health. So we're all about dot connecting here, and we're all about basically it's prevention. This is perhaps taking the research that I've started to do, thanks to you, just on the liver, on the fatty liver disease, and 100 million people just in the States alone, and the mainstream medical system is doing virtually nothing about this. But the research that I'm doing is indicating that this is one of the most critical areas that we can take back control of our own health, so that we won't be pushed over the edge, so that we will be able to be healthy and strong in our lives. So thank you for doing this, Jonathan.
My bottom line message in the end, Josh, is you can absolutely live in this world happy, healthy, and strong, even though we're always going to have things that we want to improve. It's just about understanding things better. Knowledge, applied knowledge is power, and taking the action, right? The applied knowledge, learning and taking action. That's what this is all about, because too many people don't have their power. They feel disempowered. They're told about stuff, worry, 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 virus, disease, treat and manage, and that's all we can do in conventional medicine. And that is absolutely not true. There's a lot more we can do. But fatty liver is a spectrum of liver failure, from 5-10%, all the way up to 90+%, where conventionally speaking, we just got to pluck out your liver and give you a new liver. And that is nonsense. Day one, Josh, a guy who's been in medicine for 40 years, Bert Berkson, who only gets interviewed by two people, Mercola and me. He doesn't trust anyone else. This guy has been reversing, literally put out of business, an internal medicine division in a hospital decades ago that only wanted to replace livers. He regenerated livers, and they didn't have to get the transplants. And he tells his whole story that would make your head spin, how he's been attacked by medicine. And he has his own practice now. But this guy has seen it all and done, everything. He's an expert on liver health. He's published with the NIH, his FDA. He was with the FDA for 25 years, all this stuff.
So you launch the DocuClass February 25. And so from the 25th of February to March 4th, it's free and online. How many people are you expecting in the community that participates?
Oh, it's going to be well over 100,000 people that are participating in the event, and then they're sharing it. It's going to easily be, from our metrics, we've been doing this a long time, 200,000 to 300,000 people will actually watch a piece of this easily, Josh. But it's the ripple effect. Yeah. I've done so many other events where I've heard from practitioners years later, hey, you know what? People are still coming in. They saw this event. They shared it with somebody else. Somebody else watched it, and they came in, and they want my help as a practitioner. Thanks, Jonathan. I mean, the ripple effect is going to be huge, and you know what that's about. So it's really up to each and every one of us to find stuff that really feels great, that feels empowering to us, and take action. Very important.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm so glad that this information is getting in the zeitgeist. Like you said, Jonathan, I mean, I know we've said it a couple of times, but 100 million people in the United States alone has a fatty liver condition. And it's linked to autoimmune disorders, heart disease, all of the big conditions that we see. So I've got my calendar marked for day one, Bert Berkson. I'm looking forward to check that one out. So thank you for being here and telling us about this, and the invitation for people to watch it for free. There's a link below if you're watching on YouTube in the description, and if you're watching on our site, just below this video where it's embedded. Go ahead and click that, sign up for this summit, and get this information and share it with people. Jonathan, thanks so much again for just investing all of this time and energy to have these several dozen experts come together and just to provide this information for everyone. I really appreciate your time and also talking with us today.
Thank you, Josh. I really appreciate your efforts as well. Keep up the good work.
All right, thanks.